Chapter 31 The Ancient Magic Weapon, the Wishful Golden Hoop. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But then, Suba didn't go to open the acupuncture point. The use of this system strengthening points is like playing a game. The same strengthening points are spent on the blade to maximize one's strength. Opening up the acupoints can greatly enhance one's physical quality in all directions, and improving the cultivation base can increase the total amount of true essence in the body. The two must go hand in hand, which is the truth. After all, no matter how strong the body is, no matter how good the resilience is, no matter how pure the real essence is, if the total amount of real essence is insufficient, some powerful martial skills and secret skills cannot be used. Thinking about it, Suba clicked on the plus sign behind the cultivation realm. Drip. The cultivation base is upgraded to the late stage of 1 star of the warrior, and the strengthening point is minus 300. Only 300, go ahead. Drip. The cultivation base is raised to the peak of 1 star of the warrior, and the strengthening point is minus 500. There are still 1,300 reinforcement points, which should be enough. Continue. Drip. The cultivation base is upgraded to the early stage of the 2-star martial artist, and the strengthening point is minus 700. This use of strengthening points to improve cultivation is really a huge profit, and it is estimated that there will be no bottlenecks in the future. Suba felt the constant surging of true yuan in his body and the inexhaustible strength of his body, and a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Now, he should have no problem dealing with ordinary Samsung Peak warriors. With the last 600 enhancement points left, we will draw a lottery. I hope we can produce weapons or martial arts. Suba breathed a sigh of relief. Powerful martial arts and weapons can greatly improve the combat effectiveness of a warrior, and they are indispensable. 600 enhancement points. 6 draws start. Drip. Enhancement point minus 600, the lottery starts 6 consecutive draws. Congratulations, host, you didn't draw anything. Congratulations to the host, comprehension plus 30 points. Congratulations to the host, strength plus 22 points. Congratulations, host, you didn't draw anything. Congratulations to the host, comprehension plus 26 points. Congratulations to the host, you have won the ancient battle to defeat the gods of the Buddha, Rui Golden Hoop. Suba's eyes lit up, he really fired his weapon. With the strength and comprehension attribute points drawn earlier, comprehension Suba didn't feel much, but the strength added a few hundred pounds to him. It seems like a little strength of about 10 pounds, too late to think about it. Boom, a black stick appeared out of thin air, with golden hoops on each end, and smashed into Suba's side, directly smashing a 1-foot-deep hole in the ground. A black line appeared on Suba's forehead. He pulled it out and put it in his hands. The attribute description was directly printed on his mind. Rui Golden Hoop, the ancient magic weapon. The diamond is indestructible and indestructible, weighing 13,500 caddies. So heavy. Why is the weight just right when I hold it in my hand? Suba's heart moved. The system produced it. It should be recognized as the master, so he felt like an arm and a finger. This system of lottery draws is powerful. The exercises to draw are beyond the heavenly rank, and the weapons drawn turned out to be divine weapons. Suba vaguely felt that if he spent a lot of the strengthening points in the lottery, he would get more benefits. Didi. The host novice period is up. The probability of lottery draws is reduced, and the explosion rate of rare items is greatly reduced. This time. A system prompt suddenly appeared in Suba's mind. The corner of Suba's mouth froze. No wonder, it turned out that I was in the novice welfare period before, otherwise it was a super exercise, a fairy dog food, and an artifact, although it was a pity to think that he had just used up more than 2,000 enhancement points in other places. Suba was also a little fortunate that his remaining enhancement points had been drawn in advance. At the very least, in terms of cultivation techniques and weapons, there is probably no one in the entire Xiantian continent who is better than himself. In addition, the lottery explosion rate is low, and it is not impossible to produce something. Thinking of this, Suba's heart instantly calmed down. Chapter 32 Samsung Peak. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A month passed quickly. In a quiet jungle clearing, there was a man in black holding a thick black iron rod dancing in the air. His stick skills are extremely domineering, and the dance constantly makes a harsh bang in the air, full of domineering taste. The last stick was exhausted, and the man in black stood with a stick. A heavy and simple atmosphere rose from his body, and he felt as if a vast wasteland appeared in front of him. Between heaven and earth, in the center of the wasteland, 100 Xuanhuan iron pillar came into view. I hunted and killed alien beasts in the alien beast mountains for nearly a month. During this period, I used enhancement points to draw a lot of comprehension. Although this great wilderness demon cudgel is difficult to practice, it is nothing more than that in my eyes. A smile appeared on the stern face of the man in black, and he carried the black iron rod behind his back. This person is Su Ba. A month ago, after drawing the divine weapon Rui Golden Hoop, according to the Jade Slips, I thought that the disciples of the Outer Palace could go to the Gongwu Pavilion to select a martial skill every 6 months, and the new disciples could choose one of each of the martial arts and the martial arts. In his previous life, he went to Xuanhuan Shaolin to learn art. Since he was a child, Shaolin used a long stick, and he knew the basic stick skills by heart. Su Ba went to the first floor of Yunmeng Wufu Gongwu Pavilion, and found a book of the most difficult human-level high-quality stick technique on the first floor, the Great Wilderness Demon Cudgel, and because his practice method has 9 Yang Divine Art, after copying the best human-level high-quality practice method in Gongwu Pavilion, he recovered it. Although Su Baiyan's Hot Cloud Dream Wufu Gongwu Pavilion is densely packed with various martial arts and martial skills, he finally restrained his greed. He still disdains to do this kind of thing that destroys the luck of the Wufu and exhausts the pond to fish. Furthermore, the Gongwu Pavilion is guarded by experts from the acquired realm, so it is impossible for Su Ba to succeed. Nearly a month after coming to the alien beast mountains, Su Ba understood what it meant that the explosion rate was greatly reduced. He used a lot of reinforcement points, at least 100 times. Either nothing was drawn, or all that was drawn were attribute points such as physique, comprehension, soul power, strength, etc., and none of the items were seen. The explosion rate of this rare item is really low. Fortunately, attributes such as strength and physique brought Su Ba a lot of benefits, especially his comprehension. A large amount of comprehension has accumulated, allowing Su Ba to practice the Great Wilderness Demon Cudgel to the realm of mastery in just 1 month. You must know that this stick technique has been practiced to a high level, which is comparable to Xian-level martial arts. Generally, a genius disciple with outstanding comprehension will not be able to achieve it within 3 months. For those with poor comprehension, it is estimated that half a year of practice is still in the introductory stage. Although the current lottery with enhancement points does not seem to be cost-effective, it is sometimes necessary. After all, there are cherished attribute points. The foreign government ranking battle is about to start. I should go back too. Oh yes, and the decisive battle with that Wang Hui will also start. Su Ba said lightly to himself. His stern face did not show much expression, as if he did not take the decisive battle with Wang Hui in his eyes at all. Before going back, Su Ba took a look at his attribute interface. Host, Su Ba, Cultivation Realm, Samsung Peak, plus, dot, Cultivation Method, Jiuyang Divine Art, /720, plus, dot, Weapon, Rui Gold Hoop Bar, Martial Skill, the Great Wilderness Demon Cudgel. Enhancement Point, 30 points. Lottery draw, 100 points of reinforcement. You can have a lottery draw. Storage space, 1 cubic meter, plus, Samsung Pinnacle Cultivation Base. Jiuyang Divine Art opens up 4 acupoints. Arm strength up to 15,000 pounds. The power of 1 elephant and 5 horses. Comparable to the average 5-star late-stage body refining master. In addition to the completion of the Great Wilderness Demon Cudgel, the divine weapon is blessed with a golden hoop stick. A mere Wang Hui, how can he enter Su Baiyan? This time the foreign government ranking battle, it must be his blockbuster time. Chapter 33 Kill a 5th level beast with 1 stick. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 100 miles away from Fengwu country is an endless, extremely vast mountain range, the Alien Beast Mountain Range. there are many exotic beasts and herbs in the mountains, and occasionally you can encounter extremely rare spirit beasts. Many martial arts disciples from the surrounding countries will choose to come here to experience at this time. In the outskirts of a certain place in the alien beast mountains, Su Ba walked out with a golden hoop stick on his back. There is still a day or two left, enough for him to return to Yunmeng Wufu. After walking for a while, a foul smell came from the air. Immediately behind Su Ba, a sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded, and in just a breath, he came behind Su Ba. A huge shadow shrouded down. This is a strange snake with a length of more than 10 meters and the thickness of a bucket. It opened its bloody mouth and looked like it was going to swallow Su Ba in one bite. In this moment, Su Ba's eyes flashed sharply. He pulled out the long stick behind his back, turned around like lightning, and punched him in the head. A heavy and simple artistic conception permeates out, and it is a high-quality great wilderness demon cudgel. Boom! The head of the golden hoop smashed directly on the huge head of the monster, and the snake didn't scream, and the whole head exploded. If anyone who knows this strange snake is here, their eyes will fall off. The leader among the 5-level alien beasts, the measured wolf-toothed snake. He was actually beaten in the head by a Samsung Peak warrior with a stick. It really feels like a dream. Boom! The headless snake died completely, and the huge snake body more than 10 meters long smashed to the ground weakly. Su Ba walked over with an expressionless face, stretched out his hand and pressed it on the snake's body. Didi. A corpse of a 5th-level alien beast. If you recover it, you can get 150 enhancement points. Whether to recover it or not. Yes. Swish. With a flash of white light, the huge snake corpse disappeared in an instant. Only the brains and flesh and blood were left on the side, proving that something had died here. I have to go back, and I dare to send it up to find death. I really think I have a long life. Su Ba shook his head indifferently, carried the golden cudgel behind his back, and continued to walk towards the periphery of the alien beast mountains. Before walking out 1 mile, suddenly there seemed to be a sound of fierce fighting not far away. Su Ba's brows twitched and he quickened his pace slightly. Soon in his sight, 2 groups of people appeared. On the left, there are 2 men and 2 women, for young people, all of whom are in the 4-star cultivation base, and they seem to be outstanding disciples of a certain martial arts. On the right, there are 2 middle-aged people, one fat and one thin. Although the number is small, their cultivation is above 5 stars. The 2 sides seem to have just ended their fight, and the 4 young people on the left were somewhat injured. Not far from the 2 men and horses, there was a small tree on which more than a dozen bright and dripping fruits grew. Snake heart fruit. As soon as Su Ba saw the fruit on this tree, his eyes lit up. Snake heart fruit is one of the main ingredients for refining the 5th grade blood alchemy. It seems that these 2 groups of people have friction because of this. Snake heart fruit, we have promised to give it to you. Why do you still stop us? That among the 2 men and 2 women, one tall young man said angrily at the 2 middle-aged men. Hey, don't rush to leave, we want the fruit, but 2 beautiful girls, stay and play with us. As long as you are attentive, we will ensure that you leave safely. One of the mid-5-star fat men looked at the 2 women lewdly and said. Shameless. Dream. Several young men and women all glared at him. Chapter 34 I will accept it if you don't want it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. TSK, don't want to. That's okay, we don't mind playing dead people. The fat man's expression turned cold. The expressions of the 4 young men suddenly changed slightly. The tall young man took a step forward and said solemnly. To your excellencies, we are the top martial arts of Han Yuegua, the disciples of Feihu martial arts. If you dare to do something to us, you will risk your life. Oh. Dare to threaten Lao Tzu? Fatty's eyes turned cold, and he suddenly waved his palm. The wind whistled, and the thunder struck directly on the chest of the tall young man. The tall young man immediately flew out backwards, spitting blood. What about the disciples of Feihu Wufu? I don't know how many of you genius disciples I have killed. In the middle stage of the little 4-star, you dare to be arrogant in front of me, that the fat man sneered. Brother Huang, another thin young man and 2 girls couldn't help exclaiming. You. The tall young man was helped up, clutching his chest and looking at the fat man in shock and anger. Okay, since they don't know each other, let's waste less time, kill the 2 men, and capture the woman alive. If the woman resists, then kill and play dead. Behind, the thin middle-aged man said impatiently. Okay, it's exactly what I want. Fatty said. The 2 middle-aged men laughed evilly and were about to start. The 2 youths and 2 girls from the Feihu Wufu looked at each other, and each other's eyes couldn't help showing a little despair. This time. From the grass on one side, a person came out. This man was dressed in black, with a thin body and a stern face. He carried a thick black iron rod behind his back. He seemed to be walking around casually, but there was an aura of Xuanhuan exuding from his body. The expressions of the 2 middle-aged men changed and they stopped. The eyes of the 4 Feihu Wufu disciples suddenly lit up. The tall young man just asked for help when suddenly his open mouth froze in place. There is no reason for him. He saw the cultivation base of the person who came, but it was the pinnacle of Samsung, even weaker than the weakest junior sister Xian of the 4 of them. The other thin young man and 2 girls saw this, and the light in their eyes dimmed instantly. Mom, where's the kid? Get out of my way, or believe it or not, I will slap you to death. The moment the 2 middle-aged men saw the cultivation base, they breathed a sigh of relief, and then the fat man scolded Suba viciously. Suba ignored the fat man, but turned to the disciples of Feihu Wufu. According to what you said just now, you don't want this snake heart fruit, right? Okay, then I'll accept it. With that said, Suba walked towards the snake heart fruit tree not far away with a calm expression. The disciples of Feihu Wufu were immediately stunned. Big brother, did you really not see the situation on the field, or did you pretend not to see it? You are a 3-star peak. I am afraid that even we can't beat us. Do you still want to pick fruit under the eyes of those 2 villains? Groove. After the 2 middle-aged men were stunned, they suddenly became furious. Fuck you, boy, you are courting death. Ignored by a hot chicken with a peak of 3 stars, Fatty's face suddenly flashed a ferocious look, and he moved in front of Suba, raised his big fan-like hand, and slapped Suba's head fiercely. Boom! The light of the big hand flickered, and the power of the mid-5-star broke out instantly. Obviously, he wants to slap Suba's head into bloom. Be careful, among the disciples of Feihu Wufu, a girl exclaimed, however, the next second. Everyone was stunned on the spot. Chapter 35 So Scary. You are listening at novelfull.audio. They saw that the black-clothed youth in front of them only made a few simple movements: stop, turn around, punch, then. With a sound of bang. The fat man who was in the mid-5-star cultivation base screamed, and his body quickly retreated like a scarecrow, and then slammed into the ground. All the bones in his right hand were broken and bent strangely. At the chest, a large piece collapsed, and a large piece of broken bones poked out from the left and right chests, blood dripping. Obviously the heart has burst. The whole person can't die any longer. Cece. The scene immediately took a breath of cold air. The disciples of Han Yuegua's Flying Tiger Martial House were stunned. A mid-5-star body refiner, he didn't even take a punch from the opponent and was beaten to death. Isn't this black-clothed youth just at the peak of Samsung's cultivation? Are they blinded? Several people wiped their eyes in confusion. Second, the remaining thin middle-aged man, seeing this scene, suddenly let out a mournful cry. Immediately, he looked at Suba with bloodshot eyes, and roared, "Boy, I'm going to cut you into 8 pieces." Boom. The cultivation base of the late 5-star stage has all exploded, and he is holding a quick knife and roaring madly towards Suba. The wind. That man hasn't finished talking yet. Noisy. Suba's face turned cold. He pulled out the black long stick from behind and smashed it directly at the thin man's forehead. A heavy and simple artistic conception permeated out, and the black long stick in his hand seemed to be transformed into an iron pillar. Boom. that the thin man burst with a knife on his head. 4 people from Feihu Wufu. They are utterly stupid. A late-stage 5-star master was beaten by a 3-star peak, headshot. How is this so strong? Everyone stood there blankly watching Su Ba put the black stick behind his back, blankly watching Su Ba take away all the fruits from the snake heart fruit tree, and then slowly disappear into the sky. In front of them. Gudong. Until then, everyone came back to their senses and subconsciously swallowed. That person, so scary, that there was still a hint of shock in the eyes of the tall young man. When did such a ruthless man appear among the disciples of the outer palace of Yunmeng Wufu of Fengwu Kingdom? Ha! Senior brother Huan, is that young man in black from Yunmeng Wufu? A girl exclaimed. The tall young man nodded. I saw the waist card hanging on his waist, which is the waist card of Yunmeng Wufu's status as a disciple of the outer palace. He's really strong. When he hit him with a stick just now, I was so far away that I couldn't breathe, another junior sister said with lingering fears. Well, yes, he made me feel the same as facing our elder brother from the outer palace. No. He is stronger than our elder brother. I'm afraid that only the disciples of the inner palace can compare with him. The tall young man took a deep breath, his eyes flashing with awe. The important thing is that he is only the 3rd level peak cultivation base. What? The 2 girls immediately screamed when they heard this. Okay, let's go back and tell the elders of the Wufu the news. There is a monster in the Yunmeng Wufu of the Fengwu Kingdom. This time the Fengwu Kingdom will rise in the next 3 kingdoms competition. Alright. Hearing this, several people did not dare to delay, and hurried towards the periphery of the mountain range. As soon as they left, there was a soft sound in the jungle, and a black figure came out again. It was Su Ba who just pretended to leave. 3 kingdoms competition. Su Ba raised his brows, and then came to the dead fat man and thin man with a calm expression. After collecting 2 storage rings, he reached out and pressed them. In a flash of white light, the 2 corpses disappeared. No matter how small a mosquito is, it's still meat. 2 5-star warrior corpses add up to 300 enhancement points. Su Ba let out a light laugh, then his entire body unfolded, and he quickly plunged into the jungle. Chapter 36. The ranking battle begins. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Fengwu Kingdom, Yunmeng Wufu. Today, all the outer disciples of Yunmeng Wufu, including the freshmen, have been notified to gather at the Yunmeng Wufu Grand Plaza. The once-a-month Phantom Killing Array Points ranking tournament is about to start. This is not only an assessment of the actual combat ability of the disciples of the foreign government, but also an assessment of the progress of these new students over the past month. Take a look at these freshmen. Are there any monster-like characters who break into the ranking of the disciples of the outer palace with the appearance of freshmen? There are more than 300 disciples in Yunmeng Wufu's outer palace, and only the top 200 are eligible for the ranking stone, among the nearly 100 freshmen enrolled in Yunmeng Wufu. Which one is not a person with outstanding talent? They have been eager for this fantasy killing circle point ranking competition for a long time. They need to prove themselves and make a good result in the fantasy killing circle. No genius wants to be used as a stepping stone. All of them are young, arrogant, and pretentious. They have worked hard to cultivate in this month, and they are waiting to be a blockbuster today. These people have heard that very few freshmen can break into the ranking stone for the first time. However, without personal experience, these young geniuses do not believe in evil, and they are sharp in their hearts, so they have to give it a try. In the morning, on the main square of Yunmeng Wufu, more than 300 people from the outer government have basically gathered. The old disciples and the new disciples are clearly distinguished. Not long after, a tall, indifferent middle-aged man walked over. It was Deacon Xuanhuan. Deacon Xuanhuan stepped forward to point someone, and at the end, he frowned slightly and said, "Where's Su Ba? Who knows where Su Ba has gone? Why hasn't he come yet?" Because Su Ba had broken the records of Yunmeng Wufu's 5 fantasy worlds over the years and performed exceptionally well in the 5 stages of the fantasy world, he had been promoted by Yunmeng Wufu to become the Grand Deacon of the Outer Palace, and was promoted from the position of admissions deacon. Today, He was able to organize the disciples of the foreign government to participate in the Phantom Killing Array ranking battle assessment, which is the reason he was not qualified. Therefore, Xuanhuan was still very concerned about Su Ba. Who is Su Ba? Didn't Su Ba come? Deacon Xuanhuan's voice fell, and there was some commotion all around. There was no response from the old disciples. Among the new disciples, people kept looking around. In my opinion, this kid is afraid. I don't know where to hide and be a tortoise. This time. In the group of old disciples, there was a mocking voice. Everyone turned their heads to look, and their hearts jumped. It was the #1 expert in the outer government, Wang Hui. The duel between Su Ba and Wang Hui. This incident was rumored at the beginning. At this time, when Wang Hui said this, everyone immediately reacted. Yeah, I almost forgot. Su Ba made a bold statement that after a month, the Phantom Killing ranking tournament will end, and he's going to clean up Wang Hui. I guess he's a coward. Oh, please remove the word estimate. I think this kid is a coward. TSK, I think that the advanced assessment has broken the record of the 5 stages of the illusion, but I can't sculpt it. That only proves that his martial arts heart is good, and it has nothing to do with strength. Su Ba thought he was senior sister Qin Jiuyue. Even senior sister Qin, such a arrogant girl, wouldn't dare to make such a high-profile statement. Su Ba is a fart. All right. Deacon Xuanhuan frowned, and immediately interrupted everyone's discussion with a cold drink, before he could say anything. I'm sorry, if I'm a fart, you're even worse than a fart. This time. A faint voice sounded from not far away, with an unruly domineering. Everyone's heart moved, and they all turned around to look. Chapter 37 Teach You How to Be a Man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Only in the sight of everyone, a man in black clothes, with a thin body and a grim face, with a thick black iron rod on his back, walked slowly towards the crowd. He seemed to be walking around casually, but there was an aura of Xuanhuan exuding from his body. Su Ba. It's Su Ba. He came. Seeing this young man in black, he immediately exclaimed. They didn't expect that Su Ba would really dare to appear and participate in the phantasmal killing ranking battle. Yo, Su Ba, I didn't expect you to come. I thought you were going to be a tortoise. In the group of old disciples, Wang Hui looked at Su Ba with contempt, and said, I look forward to your performance in the Phantom Killing Array ranking battle. If you can't make it to the ranking, it will be boring. You don't need to worry about my ranking. You should worry about yourself. Soon you will be my stepping stone. Su Ba glanced at Wang Hui indifferently. So brave. Wang Hui laughed, then his face suddenly turned cold, looking at Su Ba and said ruthlessly, my cousin Wang Quan missed the recruitment time of Yunmeng Wufu because of you. Since you're courting death, then don't, your cultivation base. Just as Wang Hui was talking, he swept Su Ba's body inadvertently, and his pupils shrank. Your cultivation has reached the peak of Samsung. Wang Hui looked at Su Ba in disbelief and whispered. Samsung Pinnacle. If he remembered correctly, a month ago, Su Ba seemed to be in the middle stage of 1 star. In just 1 month, this kid actually surpassed 2.5 levels of cultivation. How can that be? Wow. Following Wang Hui's words, all the disciples at the scene were aware of Su Ba's cultivation, and there was an uproar. Fuck. I'm stunned. Isn't this Su Ba only in the middle stage of 1 star? It's only been a month, and it's the peak of 3 star. It's fake. Unbelievable. This promotion speed is too amazing. It is said that he was promoted to a small realm in 3 years, because he was admitted to Yunmeng Wufu because of the potential of leapfrog fighting. Su Ba and I were from the same academy. Let me tell you, Su Ba didn't seem to spend much time and energy on cultivation before, he was just chasing girls. Someone took a deep breath and exclaimed, so, in fact, Su Ba's cultivation talent is extremely evil. This kind of promotion speed, I am afraid that our senior Qin sister Qin Jiuyue is not so fast. Someone said weakly. Everyone was shocked. Even those experts who were ranked in the forefront of the foreign government looked at Su Ba in disbelief. They asked themselves that their cultivation talents were excellent, but in just 1 month, in Su Ba's cultivation base, they were able to advance to a big realm, thank God, Amitofu. This is still under the premise of abundant cultivation resources. Wang Hui took a deep breath and suddenly thought of his actual situation. The shock in his eyes quickly disappeared, but it was also the first time that he faced Su Ba squarely. Su Ba, I admit, you surprised me, but don't get too complacent. Wang Hui looked at Su Ba coldly. Samsung Peak Cultivation Base, you can leapfrog the challenge, can't I? Oh, the gap between you and me is still the difference between clouds and mud. Don't force it. Su Ba glanced at Wang Hui indifferently, the corner of his mouth showed a contemptuous arc, and said lightly. Wait a minute, watch me teach you how to be a human being. Chapter 38 Who Goes First? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone secretly pinched a cold sweat. This Su Ba is really crazy. Okay, since everyone is here, let's go to the assessment site of the phantasmal killing array. At this time, Deacon Xuanhuan interrupted Wang Hui's next words and issued orders indifferently. He is now the great deacon of the outer palace and a figure of real power. Even the first master of the outer palace, Wang Hui, would not dare to defy him, so he could only give Su Ba a vicious stare. Before Xuanhuan left, he glanced at Su Ba in amazement. Good boy. Not bad indeed. This sky-defying talent for cultivation, I am afraid that no one in the entire Yunmeng Wufu can match it. Coupled with Su Ba's extremely firm heart of martial arts, Yunmeng Wufu is afraid that a great powerhouse will emerge in the next few years. However, this kid is good in everything, but his personality is too domineering and arrogant. Xuanhuan frowned slightly, unable to bear the sound transmission of true Yuan, and pointed out. Su Ba, the battle with Wang Hui this time is a lesson. In the future, you should try your best to restrain your personality, and don't do things that are unsure and a bit unreal. Deacon Xuanhuan, thank you for your suggestion. When dealing with a person like Wang Hui, it took a month to trample him to death. It's worth looking down on him. After being promoted to Samsung, Su Ba will be able to transmit his true essence. At this moment, he directly transmitted the sound without changing his face. Xuanhuan. He was speechless. Thinking about it, he felt that only after Su Ba had a taste of failure would he wake up. Shaking his head, he stopped talking and walked out first. Under the leadership of Xuanhuan, more than 300 waifu disciples passed through the Yunmeng Wufu Grand Plaza. After half a cup of tea time, came to the west of Yunmeng Wufu near Dalong Mountain. This is a natural valley with lush and powerful trees. In the middle of the valley, there is a small square with an area of about 100 square meters. In the center of the square stands a white altar. The altar is engraved with dense runes. It is strange and complicated, and only the magician can understand it, and behind the white altar, there is a huge stone wall. The stone wall is more than 10 feet tall, and the surface is as smooth as a mirror. There are densely engraved names on the stone wall, and there are faint waves of light shaking. At the top, Doda's name is engraved with 2 words, Wang Hui. Going down, the rows of names gradually became smaller, with a total of 20 or 30 rows. Later, if you didn't look carefully, you really couldn't see the names. Phantom Kill Array, Ranking Stone, Destination, arrived. Just as everyone was approaching, they didn't know what Xuanhuan had done. The white altar in the center of the small square suddenly glowed brightly. Dang 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 da. The runes on the altar light up one by one. Okay, since there are newcomers, I'll explain the rules. Xuanhuan stood in front of everyone and said indifferently, can you see the 18 positions around the altar? 18 people can be assessed at the same time each time. As for the stone wall behind the altar, those of you who have seen jade slips must know that this is the ranking stone. The above is actually an illusion, and the name will keep changing. After the assessment, the phantom kill array will directly reflect the results to the phantom array ranking on the stone wall. The higher the enemy's strength, the more points. You just need to kill the enemy as much as possible. In the phantom killing array, your body will be fine. If you die in it, it means that the assessment is over, and the ranking will be calculated based on the points of the enemies killed in the end. Of course, your points must be enough to be in the top 200. Okay, the first batch of 18 people, who will go first? The voice just fell. A young man in black with a long black stick took the lead and strode towards the altar. Chapter 39. You are thinking too simple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha! Su Ba. When everyone saw the people who went out, especially the new disciples, they were all shocked. This Su Ba, the group of old disciples hadn't even set out yet, he went out as a new disciple, so courageous. Just as Su Ba took a few steps, he suddenly stopped and turned to look at Xuanhuan beside him, saying, Deacon Xuanhuan, if I remember correctly, there is a description in the Jade Slip that for the first time the disciples who break into the top 10 of the Outer Palace Fantasy Killing Array will receive a reward for each ranking, right? That's right. Xuanhuan nodded. Well, then ask Deacon Xuanhuan to prepare all the rewards from the 1st to the 10th. Su Ba said lightly, lying. Groove. As soon as these words came out, the scene fell silent. Everyone is a little confused. What Su Ba said, he meant that he was going straight to the first place, didn't he? A new student entering Wufu for a month, will he be ranked number 1 in the foreign government? This Nima, are you joking? Haha, Su Ba, did your brain get kicked by a donkey? You want to be number 1 in the rankings at the peak of Samsung? You think the top 10 is too easy? Besides, you don't know Tima, is it me first? Wang Hui looked at Su Ba with contempt, and laughed wildly at him. The other top 10 old disciples also looked at Su Ba with a sneer. Su Ba ignored the others, looked at Wang Hui, and the corners of his mouth showed a sullen arc. You reptile, at this time when I'm in the battle, wash your neck and talk about it. With that said, Su Ba took a few leaps and came to one of the positions around the altar. The white light of the phantasmal killing formation instantly shrouded it, enveloping Su Ba within it. Oh, I want to see how many names you can get. When you come out, I will take care of you. Wang Hui's face was sullen, watching Su Ba's back, whispering to himself under the shroud of light. At this time, Su Ba has come to a vast white world. This is the inside of the phantom killing array, isn't it? Where is the enemy? Su Ba glanced at the empty surroundings with a grim expression on his face, pulled out the Rui golden hoop stick behind him, and held it in his hand. Shaking his hand, the golden hoop stick trembled violently. The power of a top-level stick is described as injured when rubbed, and death when touched, because of the terrifying tremors contained in the stick. A casual swipe can cause great damage, and if you hit it with a stick, the steel armor can be instantly shattered. At this moment, in front of Su Ba, more than a dozen phantoms appeared. Among these phantoms, there were warriors and beasts, and most of them were around the early stage of the second star. For Su Ba, these opponents are simply a piece of cake. Su Ba narrowed his eyes, watching these phantoms become solid. Roar! After more than a dozen phantoms solidified, they all rushed towards Su Ba, not waiting for them to approach. Su Ba's eyes flashed brightly. He grabbed the tail of the golden hoop stick in his right hand, took a step forward, and swung it abruptly. The golden hoop rod turned into a black torrent and swept out instantly. Circle kill. Puff 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 puff. In the air, a series of sounds like a burst of blood bags suddenly sounded. The dozen or so enemies in front of him, even the rough-skinned and thick-skinned beasts, all burst open. One after the other, but one breath. Even the phantom kill array is too late to refresh. This kind of killing speed is terrifying. It was not until after 2 breaths that the space fluctuated slightly and a new phantom appeared. This time, the strength of the enemy that appeared has obviously risen by a notch. Bring it on! Su Ba's expression was indifferent. He held the golden hoop stick, turned into a rainbow light, and took the lead in front of the 3-star midterm warrior who had just transformed into a blow to the head. Chapter 40. This is what you asked for. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Boom! The mid 3-star warrior died on the spot with his head bursting. One kick kicked the corpse. Suba held both sticks and opened and closed. The power of 15,000 pounds exploded instantly. The golden hoops turned into black torrents and swept wildly around. Wherever the terrifying tremor on the stick passed, the stumps were shattered and blood boiled. The enemies in front of them are not all enemies of Suba. With the blessing of Jueyang divine art, Suba's body is rolling with real energy, constantly circulating rapidly, and his resilience is amazing. Such a high-intensity battle represents a terrifying consumption rate, but Suba is still domineering, open and close, and invincible. The atmosphere didn't even catch a breath. Waves of enemies are eliminated, waves of enemies appear, incredibly fast. I don't know how many places this Suba can rush to. Phantasm outside, most people are paying attention to this Suba, after all. This kid is so crazy, he doesn't care about others, and even threatens to clean up the number one master of the waifu. I don't know who gave him this courage. As a result, some of the top-ranked old disciples who had been assessed with Suba were no longer paying attention. Let's see if he can hold on to the 5 incense sticks. You must know that the top 10 people in the stone are all based on 5 incense sticks, that an old disciple said with a sneer. Well, that's true, but this Suba is crazy, but his potential is absolutely terrifying. If you give him a few months, maybe he can really rush to the first place, but now, it's still a little tender. If this kind of person doesn't give him a hard blow, he doesn't know what it means to be low-key. 1 stick of incense burns out, 2 sticks of incense burn out, 3 sticks of incense burn out. When the 4th incense stick was just lit, everyone saw Suba, who was shrouded in white light. Look! This kid Suba is injured. If you're injured, you're going to come out soon. You can't even hold on to the 5 sticks of incense, and you're trying to rank first. He doesn't even have a share in the top 10. The arrogant kid. But don't mention it, this is the first time a freshman enters the illusion-killing array, and he can only be injured if he can hold on to 4 incense sticks. I am afraid that this result will be in the top 30. Hey, so terrifying, that everyone realized it, and suddenly swallowed secretly. Those who can enter the top 30 for the first time in the illusion-killing formation, Yunmeng Wufu has been established for over 100 years, and this kind of evildoer is probably no more than 10 fingers. In the crowd, Wang Hui's eyes flickered with shadows. Looking at Suba's back, he felt a little jealous and ruthless in his heart. If you give this kid a few months, I'm afraid that he is really no match, but now, Suba, you brought it on yourself. Wang Hui had decided, and he was going to beat Suba ruthlessly in the duel with Suba, and his heart of martial arts would be shattered to pieces. The heart of martial arts has been trampled, and Suba will not be able to become a great weapon in the future. Lao Tzu will not give you a chance to rise. Wang Hui thought proudly in his heart. Xia Hang stood aside and shook his head when he saw the result, which was obviously within his expectations. Boy Suba, I hope your loss this time will make you wake up a little bit. You are a super genius, you still need to polish it up. Just when everyone was staring at Suba's assessment, in a corner not far from the valley, in the shadow of the dense forest, a beautiful figure was holding a snow-white puppy in her arms, standing tall and quiet, staring in the direction of this side. A hint of worry flashed on her beautiful face.